Hello, beautiful ones. I am live. I am live. Hey, it's Yogini Viv here, back on a Sunday. All right, I'm coming to you via StreamYard, which is a wonderful, there we go, wonderful app.
Today. All right, I'm coming to you via StreamYard.
There we go. We don't need to be duplicated. I'm fully in purple and hot pinks. I almost have on everything purple that I own in my house. Like, okay, I really love this one, but it's sleeveless. So I thought, well, I don't know. And then I've got this sweater that's supposed to be purple. Have you guys heard of Stitch Fix? They are not sponsoring this video, but I started using them. And I told the stylist that I liked purple, and this is what she sent, which, okay, I want your opinion in the chat. This to me, okay, and it looks like it's true on the computer. It's almost a brown, okay? It's like a deep burgundy into a aubergine, okay? It's an aubergine. I said I like purple. What can you do? What can you do about things like this? Failures. Anyway, she's not the shopper anymore. They were like, did you like what you got? And I'm like, anyway. They said, do you want to have her again as your shopper? And I said, you decide. And so they sent me somebody new. So Elena is here. Hello. And I did schedule this yesterday. Okay. So there was a little more notice. So welcome to my live. Welcome to my live stream. And yeah, these are more the colors. Yeah. Really like an eggplant. Okay. Eggplant, aubergine. Elena, who is an artist, is giving her ideas on it. Nice color, but not a true purple. No. Like I said, really almost going to a brown. You know, just no. I'm not going for monochromatic, right? So then I put this on at the last minute because I love these colors, the hot pink and the purples and the fuchsia. So say hi in the chat. Say where you're viewing from, and let me close some tabs. We're going to be talking today. I gave 3 choices. Let's see, hold that, close that one. You know, when you have like 50 zillion tabs open, hold on. Yes, and I want you guys to be able to hear me and see me. Let me know that everything's clear and say hi as you join. Welcome. I have to come up with a name like Sacred Sundays or something like that for this, for getting back regular on the Sunday lives. So feel free to keep doing what you're doing. Just use me as a podcast, okay? I'm fine with that. Go ahead, cook, make brunch, clean your house. It's okay. I'm okay with it. So I gave 3 options in the community, in my community tab. And one got 43%, which was how to fix. And of course, now I closed, but like fix what's holding us back, I think was how I wrote it. That was 43%. You guys voted. 39%, though, very close, literally probably 1 or 2 more people. Which chakra is imbalanced? Okay. Was 39% of you voted. You wanted me to talk about that. And only, what was that? I can't read my scratch. 18% said the best, like talk about the 4 best manifestation methods. And then I was going to share with you how I've manifested in the past, when I have done it successfully, which is when I've done it successfully. I just don't do it. Okay. So those were the 3 options. And those of you who voted, went for the fix what's holding us back. So that's what I want to talk about a little bit today. Okay. So get some water, get some tea, get a glass of wine. I actually am going to do something that a YouTuber that I followed for quite a while, because he was just fun. He would go on these rambling walks and take us with him. I'm going to do one thing. I want to open my window so I have some nice fresh airflow. And in the meantime, I'll be back, get a cup of tea, get some water, and we'll talk. Okay. I have 4 points. Okay. You know, I know it's weird to exit your lives, but people do it. Like I said, we would wait for him for like, I swear to God, 5 minutes. He's like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. 5 minutes later, people would talk in the chat. And I thought, This is why we love YouTube, okay? So we're going to talk about how to fix what's holding us back a little bit, but I really want your feedback, your community, um, your ideas, what you think as well, okay? Because I'm not a one woman, I am a one woman, like, information, font of information, but your feedback would be really super helpful. So, yeah, who's here? Say hi in the chat. The chat is either below, depending on where you're watching me. It's either below or I think so on the cell phone, it's below. And on the laptop, I think it's off to the side. So let's get into it, and then you'll have comments. My first tip, when we really want to kind of what's holding us back, work with it. This is also called shadow work. I don't love that name so much. I mean, it's okay, but it's also called shadow work, working with the things that are difficult for us, okay? And before I go on, if you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am a meditation teacher, yoga teacher. I coach primarily like around specific issues with wellness and spirituality. I'm also an intuitive and an artist. I don't have any of my cloud paintings behind me, but you've probably seen them. And I was a professor for some years. And so some of you in the chat know me from that. And then went on to kind of be self-employed and retire, though I'm not retired. So welcome, whatever your age, whatever your background. I do speak primarily to women, women's spirituality, intuition, I'm realizing is very key to what I'm trying to get across. So I think the first thing when we're trying to fix something that's difficult, that's blocking us in our life, is to get relaxed, okay? So it's not helpful to start tackling a problem when we're not in a good state. So my first tip is that you have to figure out how to be in a relaxed and a high vibration state. And I've shared some of this before, spread out over different videos, but what do you think of that? Because I think sometimes, we'll get into some conversation with ourselves and we're like, oh, I've got to work on this. This is not working. And we might be upset. Clearly, that's not the time to really do deeper healing work. Okay. Because that's what we're really talking about. So I'd say be relaxed and in a high vibration and high spirit. So what do I do? Because some of you might be like, well, how do you do that? Okay. So please share in the chat. How would you do that? If you want to do some deep work, some introspection, some healing on a big issue, or if you just need to change your mood, how would you do that? So for me, and you guys, the regulars know this, African dance, I'm going to recommend right here on YouTube, Kukua African dance. Any sort of dance or movement is absolutely, like, scientifically will shift. They've shown it helps with like depression. And as someone who has suffered from depression, I know that something I don't like to do when I'm depressed is move or dance. I won't because I'm depressed. Does that make sense? Don't suffer from depression now. I would not say that I do. I'm very grateful and happy to feel like I wouldn't label myself depressive now. Okay. But movement, for a variety of like spiritual and physiological reasons, like you can give reasons at many levels, but just when your blood starts circulating, right, you start to eliminate toxins. In fact, I remember years ago, there was a woman who, I was in a business program, you guys, and this woman, I told a story in a different angle before, but she was sort of bad tempered. And this is the type of thing that as a spiritual person I could put together. One point she said when she began exercising a lot, because it was like a women's business thing. We were talking, we were just gabbing. And she said when she started working out after not being an exerciser, her skin, she said, just erupted. Now, what that is when our skin erupts, it is toxins coming out of our body. The body is using the skin as a means of elimination, which it is, right? And that actually, that inner toxicity on a physical level can obviously affect us emotionally and all that. So just saying that how movement is helpful and can be very much a part of our healing. So I would do African dance, or just go for a brisk walk in nature, anything to get your vibration high. So that's the first thing, be really relaxed. So what do you guys think? How do you shift your vibration? I can see the numbers. I know you're there. How do you shift vibration? The next thing I would say is, so what is it you want to shift? What is it you want to shift? I put it in that order, but you could obviously know what you want to shift first. Or like, and again, this is going to get deep. I feel like there are just a few areas of our lives that usually are not working. Okay. They're the major areas that people invest in and buy books in. So health, all right. I feel like health, I'm going to put it in the chat, relationships, usually like dating relationships, though it can be familial relationships too, right? That are the things that we're having trouble with that we need to fix. Okay. Hi, beautiful love. Welcome. Good to see you, goddess. So yeah, we're talking about beautiful love. You probably voted how to work with the things that are blocking us, how to fix them. I just was sharing that you need to be relaxed and in high spirits. And then how to figure out what the thing is you want to shift. It's usually health or relationship, right? So we get a health issue or a health challenge. The doctor's like, you have this, you have that. You start having back pain, or you're having period issues or something. Relationship issues, sisters, brothers, mom, dad issue, intimate relationships. What's the other? Oh, and finances, right? Finances. How do we spell finances, guys? Those are, I feel like, the big areas. Do you guys agree? Did I leave something out? I feel like I'm leaving something out, honestly. Hold on. It's usually, definitely, it's money for a lot of people, health, relationships. I feel like those are the major three. What do you guys think? But I feel like there's a fourth when I was thinking about it. Yeah. Hey, beautiful love, beautiful love. Hi, Angel. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Angel, beautiful love. Beautiful love says, I agree. But is there one more? Elena, are you still here? Miss T, you agree? I feel like it's when we have an area of our life that's not working, it's usually health, relationships, finances. And then, of course, the dreaded, they could just all, yeah, they could all blend. Elaine, I was just asking if you had any feedback on that. Health, relationships, or finances. Are those the three areas that can go like off? I mean, it could also be spiritual, but I feel like that's not the one that I'm thinking. Okay, Angel. Hey, Angel, let's see what is said here. Hello. I'm having trouble knowing whether the relationship I'm in is what is right for me and not using past bad experiences to color my present. Yeah. Yeah, you can share if you are open to it, because that's very personal. So thank you, Angel, for sharing that. Are you those in family? No, I agree. But I'm putting family under relationships. I'm putting family under relationships, absolutely. So if you want to share what issue you want to fix, either now or replay, folks, hi, you can put it in the comments. Like right now, we're live in chat, but folks who watch this later, put what you want to be working on in the comments below the video. So I'm going to share my story to be transparent. Hey, I see the numbers going up. Welcome, welcome. We're talking about how to fix the things that are holding us back from a spiritual perspective, from my perspective. Relationship with self. Beautiful love. That's very good. Is that a separate category, you guys? Because I put health, right? We all know, like, somebody suddenly they get a health diagnosis and they're like, oh my God, I got to change my life, right? It has a big impact on them. Or they feel they can't, they can't change their life. Or something that comes to mind with is like obesity, and then struggle to like with weight and like fitness and motivation. So it's usually health, relationships, but relationship to self. I really like that, beautiful love. I feel like that could be a separate category. That could be a separate category, relationship to self, where you could kind of put it under relationships, because it's all our relationships. Actually, that's really beautiful. All our relationships with others, right, start from ourselves. So beautiful, love. Thank you for that, because I think that's going to weave into something that I might share later, or something I'm thinking of. So thank you for that. Right. In fact, like I'm going to write that down. Our self relationship, and just putting an arrow, is all our relationships, right? That is really, really deep. This is why when I do these, sometimes I'm really surprised, do these lives. Yeah, those are all stressful. Those are like the stresses. But I feel, and my belief, and why I have this channel for me to get back in my own vibration, actually, really quick. I really believe that, because I've seen it in my life, goddesses, I've seen it. I believe we have a powerful impact on what's happening in our lives. I do not believe we 100% create everything. I think that that's like insanity. I haven't seen that. But I believe we're in co-creation with spirit. That is what I have in my decades of life felt and observed. And by that, and let me explain. I was just watching someone, like a trained therapist, who's like, we make our beliefs, and then our beliefs make us. We, or our parents, or our society, or our culture, or our tribe has beliefs. Those beliefs then make us. But what we do, and this is proven, we then we then see what we already believe. Okay, let me repeat that. We see what we already believe. And a really basic example is, and I know you've all had this, if you go buy a car, you go buy you buy a Toyota Camry, or you buy a Mercedes and it's silver, you're going to start to notice every Mercedes, and ever, or every Toyota Camry, you're like, oh wow, where the cars were there before, but you're noticing it because now it's important to you. You have the car, and it's just on your radar. I think it's called the reticular activating system. Okay, so what does this mean for those of you who really are into spiritual growth? You're here. What does it mean? Again, it's very hard. I've seen it with even friends who have passed away, in my life at this point, as I'm in the stage that I'm in. It's very hard to convince someone that reality is different than what they see, because I truly do believe this. Not to get super woo-woo, but let me know if what you think, if this is too woo-woo. Like I said, if we're in co-creation, it's like the mirror. It's going to reflect back where we're coming from a lot, not 100%. So I always give this example. Two people could be in a tsunami and survive, and one will have a different, so that they had the experience, they had the bad experience. One sees it a different way, gets meaning out of it. I think there's actually a writer called Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I have not read it. It's like a classic book. It's an old book, but it's a classic. One person gets meaning from the experience. The other person is like, life sucks. You know, everything is horrible. This is a horrible world, horrible. Like, people, the same thing can happen to them. And there's some way that they react differently. And then the outcome is very different. So that's what I want to stress here. So figure out what is your major stressor. So when I said I was going to be very honest with you, I think for me, right, what I'm focusing on right now is finances and health. But I think everything is interrelated. Okay, not to make it too complicated, too overwhelming. I think especially for women, Angel, I want to know what you think about this. I'll put your comment back up. Everything is interconnected. I'll give you a quick example. Many of us, especially Black women watching this, because this is a big issue right now, is toxic jobs, right? Since COVID, the idea of people leaving their jobs, we can't take it anymore. There's been a shift. There's been a shift in how we look at work. I have seen, and I myself went through that. When my job was bad, my health deteriorated. Okay. Have you had that experience? When your job is bad, it may just be you get more colds and flus, you feel tired, you don't have energy, or as many Black women, there are quite a few channels where this comes up. Um, you start having like your hair is falling out. You start having autoimmune issues. Okay. So, what I'm saying is that I think they're all connected. Health, relationship, they all can impact each other. Okay. Let me know what you think. If you had that where your job was the problem, but then your job affected your health, or your job affected your relationships. Okay. I know some of you have had that. Okay. Yes. So share in the chat relation. I'm going to hold on to relationship with self. So what I would do, my third point is once you figure out what you want to shift, you have to be very honest with yourself. That's why you really need to be in a high vibration, because it's not to blame yourself. Because I know even some of you might be tuning out now because this is very hard to do. Now, this is where David Goggins comes in. Oh, good, Angel. That is great. That's great that you have. But let's put up your comment. Let's put it up on screen. The last job, you got sick twice. Absolutely. I think women more than men. When our job, the work we do, that we share, that we're giving, when that is toxic, our health is often impacted. Now, I think we could work with it to affirm and try to, but I think the higher level is get out of the job. So Angel says that you love the job you have now. Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that's so important. That's a whole other thing. So start off relaxed and high vibration. Decide what is the major thing that if you shifted it, it would change your life. If you shifted it, so don't run away from it. This is where I want to mention David Goggins. Who here knows David Goggins? I mean, I keep saying he's crazy. Like I was writing a comment, he will seem crazy. Let me know if you know David Goggins. He wrote a book called Can't Hurt Me, and he has a new book out now. But Can't Hurt Me. Handsome guy. I think he's bald on the cover, in his uniform, and he's just standing like military upright. And his story, really quick, David Goggins, horrible childhood, grew up, just lack of support, bad self-esteem, just that many of us had. Yeah. Hi, Esther. Welcome. So I'm on the third step of how to fix how to shift something that's holding us back. So David Goggins, let me know if you know him. I want to see so many chats that I can't even read them all. This guy is really inspiring me right now. Okay. And I talk about divine feminine. He is literally the opposite. Not because he's masculine, but he's like, you guys, he's on the far end of just straight up. I don't even know how to describe it. I just saw a clip recently. He was being interviewed, and the interviewer was sort of hesitant. And he said, "So, Mr. Goggins, you run for hours." Right? He pauses, and David Goggins says, "Days." And he has this look on his face, because one of his catchphrases is, "You don't know me, son. You don't know me." And so everybody in the comments is like, wrote his catchphrase. So he runs for days. But so watch him on the Huberman podcast. Some of you who know me know I've been mentioning this Huberman podcast. Look up David Goggins. It's like an hour. Listen, have it in the background. The Huberman podcast. I'm putting it in the chat. I think it's David Goggins. He basically, what's really underlying him is, he's like, you have to work with your dark side. You have to work with your fears. Well, he's Beautiful Love. Look him up on Amazon. He's amazing. Elena says she's heard it, seen a little bit. Esther doesn't know him. So he just exercise, he's insane in terms of fitness. He's not a fitness trainer. He's using fitness as an example of how to overcome limitations. Is really what he's about. It's hard to explain because I'm trying to synopsize the guy's whole ethos, but he's very, very well known. Not as much. He should be more well known in the Black community. And he was saying that even just because his thing is he went through so much. Okay, so what he did, what kind of put him on the map with the public was, I want to say 300 pounds. 300 pounds. And he decided out of the blue, he was, you know what he was doing for a living, guys? And this will come back because none of us are probably in this situation. He was spraying insecticide for a company. Do you know how bad a job that is? All day he's going in spraying insecticide to kill roaches and rats and stuff. That's what he did. And he just knew, I think he'd already done some military, but he'd gotten out, 300 pounds, fast food, stuff his face in the car, go home, sleep, do it again, right? He was not happy. At 300 pounds, he decides he's going to become a Navy SEAL. A Navy SEAL, okay? A Navy SEAL. And he's black guy. He says he calls. They're all like, no, no, no. But then one guy straight up told him, wait, you're 300-pound black man and you're going to be a Navy SEAL. And he just was like, listen, you have to weigh this much. You have to pass a fitness test, obviously. I think he gave him 3 months. He lost a huge amount of weight, you guys, in 3 months. And so now he's kind of obsessed. He's definitely obsessive about his fitness. But again, he's using it as an example to us that we shouldn't accept our limitations. Because he shows the pictures. He was this huge, big guy. He's like 6 something. He was just huge. And now he's like lean. He's like broken his foot. He's like run a 100-mile marathon. Then he ran another one like this, just very driven. So sort of the opposite of what I usually talk about with the divine feminine, but I found him inspiring because he's literally saying, don't run away from your demons. Don't run away from your fears, right? Because when he was 300 pounds, goddesses, he just wanted to sit there and just eat and just be like, I'm such a loser. I'll never amount to anything, right? This was his self-talk, was very toxic. And he shares that openly. He shares that. And something in him though, like rose up and he's like, I'm not going to accept this. So he's very harsh. He comes off really harsh. But it's because I'm just adjusting my light. It's because he really wants to motivate people. So yeah, so check him out. Huberman podcast, you can see an interview with him. Dr. Huberman is like a PhD scientist who shares really great information with the public. You can't watch all of them. They're like 2 hours long. Just listen to them driving for the whole week. Just like listen to one episode driving back and forth to your work. So I'm saying put what's the problem front and center. Don't try to run from it. And then these are how I would approach it from multiple angles. I wrote attack from multiple angles. Okay. Yeah, I'm just Goggins, too much Goggins probably. So I would use affirmations. And so what I'm doing right now is I want to also recommend a woman called Marissa Peer. She is a hypnotherapist. She's here on YouTube, you guys. And she has a really beautiful sort of British accent and so uplifting. You could just feel her heart. Like I said, she's a hypnotherapist to like the stars, athletes, top Hollywood stars and British stars. And she talks about how their different self-esteem and how she's helped them. And she was voted like Therapist of the Year in 4 years ago or something in England. And she has a lot of not affirmation, but so much almost like self-hypnosis. She talks you through how to work with your trauma. Okay. Let me know if you heard of her, Marissa Peer. I want your feedback. So I want to know that you're with me. Okay. I don't want to be just sitting in my house talking to my own screen. I mean, I am, but I need to know you are out there. All right. So I'm working with, she has a beautiful video in terms of money. It's called Make Money Beautiful. And she takes you through basically a self-hypnosis. You could just even call it just a self-affirmation process. So go to her channel, check out Marissa Peer. So I think affirmations are one way to work with it, but then we've also got to look at our habits. So for example, if I'm working with money as an issue, well, look her up, Beautiful Love. That's probably I think it's great that you're here to get some of these new names. So that means you're not searching for this stuff because she comes up for me a lot. So, you know how YouTube knows what you're interested in. I've warned you guys, if you always look at negative stuff, it's going to give you more negative. So, you got to expand a little bit. And different people will come into your sphere. So if I'm working with wealth, I'm doing her affirmations. Affirmations have always worked for me, but the issue is I will stop. And what is that issue? The issue is about identity. And this is actually kind of what I want to talk about. It's identity. Don't tackle a specific issue so much as tackle your identity. Okay. Tackle your identity. Oh, Esther. Okay. Yeah, check her out, Esther, if you use it. And I'll put your comment up in a second. I'm so glad you're here. And this I know to be true. I'll give you an example. If somebody says, that's sort of too extreme one. Typically I go around in the world, I'm like, oh, I'm a healthy person. So there's certain things, if you approach me, I'll just be like, no, I don't say, for example, I smoked briefly. I smoked briefly when I was younger, but I wouldn't respond with, oh, I'm quitting smoking. Maybe when I was younger and I had just quit, I would say that, but my mature brain would be like, no, I'm not a smoker. Do you see the difference, goddesses? Somebody offers you a cigarette and maybe they knew you used to smoke. You could either be like, oh no, I'm quitting. I'm trying to quit, right? I'm trying to quit. So you're not there. Or what I definitely would do now, because I'm like, yeah, I don't smoke. I'm not a smoker. You can't convince me to smoke. Do you see that difference, how powerful that is? Hey, MZ Colston, welcome. You're here with Esther. Beautiful Love is here. Elena is here. Angel is here. So you need to work on your identity, okay? So I can't do this for each of you individually, but as you're watching and listening, I want you to take yourself through this process and maybe just write it down. I do really believe it's an identity shift that is needed, because anything I've ever done, it's been not so much like I'm like fighting, like the things that are hard for us and you feel like you're fighting, that can't work. You have to be the person who doesn't do it. So I'll give you an example, actually using family. I had a family member who, when they were young, got in trouble and was selling drugs. They got out. They're doing excellent now. They're doing great. And a conversation with them, brief conversation, they said something to me like, oh, I remember what it was. They didn't go back to the old neighborhood. Okay. A lot of you probably know this, but they didn't go back to the neighborhood where our family still was at the time. And I says, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I heard you moved up, up to this place. What are you doing? And I was like, well, why'd you do that? Why didn't you come back like home? And they said, oh, I couldn't come back to the neighborhood, because if I came back to the neighborhood, I would just get sucked in again. And I was like, whoa. It was like obvious, right? But that's kind of the identity thing that I'm sharing with you, right? Because his peers, it was a boy, his peers knew him as someone who was dealing drugs. If he went back there, how do you think they're going to see him? Oh, wow. Yeah. Now you're going to go work in retail. Right. Right. They have an identity for him. We have an identity for ourselves. I really think this is a big issue, guys. We have to look at what our identity is versus what we want to change. So for me, and I've shared this before, I'll be really transparent. My parents always said things like, you're not good with money. You don't know how important money is. How are you going to take care of yourself? Like they would literally scold me when I was 12, 13, that I don't know about money, but I was literally a child, right? So they were putting this identity, which is their belief, right? It's what it's really showing. So I want to know in the chat, have you had this experience? They were telling me my identity based on their beliefs. So this can be hard. I'm going to be honest with you. It can be hard to shift identity. I feel like some of you I know more than others in the community and maybe in different settings. It can be very hard to shift our identity. But that, I think, is the key thing. So again, like somebody coming out of prison, if they look at themselves, oh yeah, I was incarcerated, I'm an ex-convict, they almost need like 180-degree different identity. Like go somewhere else, be somewhere, like almost start anew, right? Start completely fresh. So what do you think of that? I'm going to pause. I'm going to look at your comments in a second. Yeah, I'm going to look at your comments. I'll put some comments up. So MZ Colson, yeah, you've heard of Marissa Peer. Okay, yeah, let me put up some comments. I'll read them to you. Mm-hmm. Yep, Esther, exactly. And I know you do a lot of great work for a lot of women and families, right? So Esther says, just do it. I love that you bring this up. It's either you want to keep the identity of struggling all the time or walking abundantly with all your needs met. Right. And so we have to do things though to change it. I think, and I know it's hard. It is hard, but there's a certain point that we need, and this is third chakra, because a bunch of you wanted me to talk about which chakra is in balance. Transformation is the third chakra, because transformation is the fire. You know how we say it's got a fire in his belly, so driven, or they got heated. It's that fire is transformation. That's how it functions in the human sort of energy system. So some people don't have a lot of fire. So in fact, let me go back, bring it back to this David Goggins. I absolutely, he has like excess. He has a lot of fire, right? That drive, that ambition, he just channels it a certain way. So for us, if we want to make a transformation, we have to find that fire within us. For some of us, it's easier. Some people are more naturally easy to change, and some people it's very hard to change. It's not that they can't, but it's harder for them to tap into that fire. So I just want to mix in the chakra energetic stuff a little bit with this. So the third chakra, when the third chakra is weak, that is the bloating, poor digestion, a lot of times excess weight, and just like it can go with lower self-esteem, just lower drive, lower ambition, because the third chakra is that ambitious energy, especially to make a mark in the world. It's a certain type of ambition. So we have to kind of stoke that fire when we need transformation. So I'd be interested if you have digestive issues, if you feel held back, think also, do I have digestive issues? And you could work backwards, work on the digestive issues as the physical problem, and then to have an effect in your behavior. Okay, I know that sounds convoluted, but they really are, they're connected. They're definitely connected. People push their limiting beliefs on each other. Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys know, and Esther, you know that, isn't it like crabs or lobster, right? One tries to climb out, like when you put in the boiling pot, and the other, I don't think they're pulling each other down, but it's because they're trying to get out. But it looks like they are pulling you back down. So I always, think of that. Because when you change the people around you, you're like a puzzle piece in this puzzle, this big puzzle of life, right? This big puzzle of interrelationship. So when you start to change, it's like you're changing your shape, you're squeezing other people. I think it's a great analogy. Let me guys know what you think. I think it's a puzzle piece fitting together. And if you push, you're like pushing, you're sort of impinging on them, and they're like, why are you different? So yes. So Esther, I think that, yeah, they're like, people want you to stay the same because that relates to their level of comfort with you. It relates to their level of comfort with you. Let me put up some of your great comments. So very important how we speak to ourselves. Yes, not to do more damage to ourselves. Yeah. And that's where I'm actually finding David Goggins, this idea. It's very tricky because he's like, don't listen to the limiting voice. But on the other hand, you don't want to abuse yourself by like literally this man runs for hours, right? So some people are like, well, he's abusing himself by running for hours. But for him, so each person has to find that balance. Like, yeah, I wouldn't be able to run for hours. Like, no, it's not happening. Yeah, so it's not a problem. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to run for hours. Okay, so who are we talking about? You are a subscriber of hers, of Marissa Peer, MZ? Probably. Yeah, I love these comments. Keep them coming. So this is what I'm doing. I am working with this affirmation video. Like I said, it's more of a hypnosis video. I feel the difference. And I'll say more in a later video. I want to give it time. But also then we need to work on our habits. So to Esther's point, it's like the identity, yeah, we have to shift the identity, but the identity is built on habits. Remember, habits and beliefs. Beliefs make habits. So this is actually a really big topic. You guys chose. Beliefs make habits. So I would say the next step, though, in how to fix what's holding us back is we have to look at our habits. I'll give you a quick example. For me, I'm a night person. That's what I say, right? That's an identity. I stay up late at night, but then I can't. I mean, I can if I have to, but then I wake up later. But then you kind of feel like the day started without you. So you've got to look at your habits. You've got to literally, honestly audit your habits and say, do they support this identity? Oh, I like this. I'm actually drawing the arrow. Do my habits support the identity I'm creating? For example, if you are wanting to save to buy a house, for example, but you start to notice your spending is out of control and you have a little compulsive shopping. Thank God that's not my issue. Okay. So your identity is of a homeowner. Okay. Say that's what you really want. And you can see it. You really want to own your own home. Maybe you have a family, you have kids, maybe you're a single mom, you have kids, but you really want to own your own home, a nice home, you know where you want to live, but you're compulsively shopping. What David Goggins would say, he goes right to the shadow. He's like, people try to run away from the negative within themselves, but by running away from it, which is so deep, he's like, if you just keep running away from it, nothing ever changes. You're just keeping yourself like in the boiling pot, right? You're just in it. So he would say, okay, you've got to find the strength to really, really look. He's like, this is his phrase. He opens the cabinets and he looks in there and he sees what's in there and he cleans it out, right? He's like, I do that every day. Every day I open the cupboards, I look in there, I clean it out. I look at what, all the stuff. So if you're compulsively shopping, yet you're saying you want to save for a house, then something has to give. Then those don't match, right? The habit doesn't match the identity. So that's something I'm definitely going to work on. Like I said, thank God I don't want to buy a house. I actually really don't believe in buying houses, given the volatile nature of our society right now. But look at how your habits connect with the identity, the positive identity you want. And then the final thing I was going to share, actually, there's more, actually, but the final in how to attack this problem from multiple angles is do research and reading. And the reason I say that is the executive function, which I think is here in our brain, that front part, the like rational side needs a reason. So in the example I gave you guys of say the woman who's a compulsive shopper, just needs to rein that in. Maybe it's not like a full blown but it's a little problem. Read about compulsive shopping, read about how to heal that, join to habits, maybe join a group that people talk about who have spending problems. So that reading, that learning, that understanding is going to give the part of your brain, that executive part, more more strength, more like, yes, this is a problem, but we're not like a freak of nature. Other people have this problem and their solutions, right? So I'm just saying research, reading, so that you get educated on whatever the problem is, if that makes sense. Whether it's relationships, so maybe you come from a toxic family. In that case, read books about, family relationships, healing from narcissists, whatever you identify the problem is, do research on that so that executive part of your brain, the boss part of your brain, not the subconscious, but the boss part of your brain, the rational part, understands the problem, sees the problem. Yeah. What do you guys think about that? I'm going to pause. I didn't leave water for myself, guys. So what do you think about that? And oops, let me take this down. Give me I want to see the comments coming in. So health, relationships, finances and relationship with self, we named as the typical problem areas, right? I said they could all mix. But I want to know your feedback. What do you think? How have you worked with in the past? Like Angel, I want to tap into your solution self, your higher self. How have you in the past healed a block or a problem? I like that. I want to put that to you so that you can see the part of yourself that is able to heal. How have you in the past healed a particular issue, an issue that you've healed? Share in the comments and give it like a minute. It takes a minute or two. Okay, those are the regulars. You know, it takes about 2 minutes for it to go from YouTube, and you're typing it in, over to StreamYard, which is the software I'm using. Okay, let me just write one thing down. I want to give you my final step in a moment. So again, the third step was attack the issue from multiple angles if you're really, really serious. Once that third chakra, that willpower, is engaged, you can work with affirmations, journaling. There are many different things you could work with, but I think the getting really relaxed again, you have to change your state, do affirmations or like self-hypnosis. There are literally videos on YouTube. There's no excuse. It's not even a money issue. Go to Marissa Peer, like I said. She has videos where she literally takes you back to when the trauma happened. Like, when did that belief get instilled? She literally takes you back in like an age regression. So there's a lot you can try there. I talk about then changing the habits and then research and reading so you understand the issue. Okay, and I'll give you the fourth and final step in a moment. I'm going to put up your comments. And then I have to go because I am teaching the second class of my soulful mindfulness is later today. And I have to check that my like PowerPoint and everything is ready and just get ready for that. But let me see some of your comments. Great. Let's see. Put that on screen. I agree. Trauma, unfortunately, yes. Yes, Esther. I think people who were astute and who could see trauma in various communities around the world, whether it's the Middle East or in America, anywhere around the world, trauma does lead to, like I said, it's almost just intuitive and common sense. If somebody has been sort of battered or beaten physically, emotionally, whatever, that executive function, the rational part, they just end up with a lot of damage. Like, that's just a fact. And so then you're working from a place, of having to heal that damage. So trauma, everybody's talking about trauma now much more openly. I think it's important. I don't know that as many Americans kind of understand the effects of trauma, generational trauma, racial trauma, gender-based trauma, because I think, like, for women, which is back my thing with the divine feminine, thousands and thousands of years of like sort of subjugation of so much trauma. There's a real collective trauma on the planet today, very, very much, and we're seeing it play out. We're seeing it play out in the world. Doing research like that is very useful. Okay, it gives solidity to the issue and can help carve a path. Yeah, exactly. It's just that kind of left-brained, it's not left, yeah, left-brained part, that research, and it gives you some of the language. Like, even, yeah, for me growing up, guys, when I was younger, I guess I thought my family was like perfectly normal. You don't have outside comparisons. So when I read, I was like, oh my God, that's what happened. That's what happened. And I'm looking at the book like, oh my God, that's what happened to me, And then I'm like, oh, and it would tell you, well, then this person would act like this. That was their role. And you're like, oh my God, that was it. So it makes you not feel so isolated and alone. So that's why I'm saying, any of you, especially replay folks, research whatever the issue is, whether it's relationships, financial, if it's intimate relationships, there's this like the 5 love styles, or no, attachment. That was another book that blew my mind about attachment and how some people have different ways. It's not the love styles, it's not love languages, it's deeper than that. If relationships is your issue, there's a book called, some people, they don't, because of trauma, they don't connect. They connect insecure attachment. I think it's like attachment styles. Google that. And it just blew my mind, because it literally was like, oh my God, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Like, laid out. And they're like, this is why, and scientifically, this is how that type of person would respond. So research can just really help us to normalize, to understand, and then to kind of get help. I did some shadow work and learned that my connection to a toxic relationship was impeding my growth, health, and I had to let go of believing that what I was experiencing was really it. Huh. Okay. I think I see what you mean with the way it ended. I had to let go of believing that what I was experiencing was really it. I did. Okay. But I definitely get the shadow work. Everything, there's a lot of, always things are connected. And that's another, I think, wise part when we grow into that, where we can see interconnections more. We're definitely in another phase when we can see people. I feel like really smart people can see the interconnections between things, just the same way that our brain, the synapses, they connect, and they fire. There's a phrase, the what is it, like neurons that fire together wire together. So it's that same thing. If we experience something over and over, it'll fire again that same way. Okay, the yogis have an idea of this when they say it's like we have grooves in our mind. And so if you have a groove, say, of poverty, I never earn enough, people don't pay me enough, nobody likes my work, you go into that groove. It's like a cart, because this is an old example, right? This is from ancient times. They give the example of a horse-drawn cart, and there's a groove in the road. It'll go into the groove. It makes so much sense. Yeah, we have generational trauma. Yeah. I also thought my family was normal until a therapist. Yeah, it's so funny because these therapists were like, "Oh my God, you've talked to like many people, haven't you?" They're like, yeah, there's like a name for what happened to you. It's interesting, it's just really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll put up some of your comments. Great. Let me see. That one? Let's go. Yep. Understand where they started, but then it's like letting go. That can be the hard part, is letting go and making the shift. I feel like in some ways that's the hardest part. I think we can intellectually understand a lot, and that's great, but then it's like how to get out of that into our next phase. Yes. Well, that's good. You're by me healing, I'm healing my generation of women. True. Very much. Yeah. I'm taking a training now, um, on ancestral healing, like shamanic work, like spiritual work, healing, ancestors. So it's really interesting, really interesting. So yeah, beautiful love. I hear you. When we heal ourselves, I do believe we heal. There's even the belief you can heal back into your lineage, but we definitely can heal forward. Yeah, that is really deep. Really great conversation. So the fourth and final point was, I think I just wrote rinse, but we have to rinse and repeat. Meaning, and this is where I've had trouble in the past. I'll start these good habits, right? We've all done that. I have a good habit. Look at the new year, right? That's why I'm like, we can start at any time, any month. You'll hear me say this all year. Goddess willing, right? We can start at any time. You can start at a new week, a new month. It doesn't have to be the beginning of the year, because I know we get into that. Oh, it's September. Oh, you make this change. I'll wait. No, let's not wait. We're not waiting. In 2024, we are not waiting. Okay. So rinse and repeat. Work with the affirmations, the journaling, the therapist, whatever. Work with the habits that need to be in alignment with the identity. Okay. So for me, I'm actually thinking of working with getting up earlier. Okay, because I've got to think it through, because I do have a long day, even if I go to bed late, and like I still do get a long day, but I'm like, would it benefit me and my new identity to wake up earlier? Okay. So you've got to really sit and do like an audit of yourself. Okay. And watch David Goggins, even just watch some shorts, because he'll put a fire under you. You'll be like, oh my God, he's crazy. He's crazy. I need to go run 50 miles right now. So, yes, last comments. I think that was it. Yeah, just rinse and repeat, like keep doing it, because keeping going is the win. And that is actually something David Goggins talks about. He talks about like it's not just the one day, right? Oh, his thing, and got people write in the comments, they're like, I'm out running in the rain because of David Goggins. Because If it's sunny and you're a runner, you'll go running, right? Oh, it's sunny, it's nice. His point is, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's raining, you can still run, right? Snowing, just get your right shoes, you can still run. So this is rinse and repeat if we really want to work with this, what's holding us back. I do think what I've outlined is sort of the more like the not a masculine approach, because I have the affirmations and the hypnosis in there, which is very much working with our subconscious. We also then, I want to add one bonus piece. I want to say we're going to listen to our intuition this whole time. We're doing all this work. We're doing the shadow work. Like both of you, Esther, when you said, and Miss T, beautiful love, you're doing the shadow work, things will come up to you. And that's the feminine. That's the intuition. That's like the mother side of it. You like the healthy mother, the healthy feminine. So we definitely don't leave out the intuitive part, don't leave out the listening, the quiet sitting, the meditation, what's the other word? Contemplation. That is still really, really important. So again, those of you watching the replay, let me know what you're working on, if that's not too personal, or what I'd love for you to share in the comments is something that you've healed in your life, and what method you use. Again, whether it was something related to wealth and finances, whether it was something with relationships, self or other, or what was the third one? Health, relationships, or finances. Yeah. And beautiful love, I did wrap your self-relationship in with relationships. So let's close with, remember, it's an identity. So take on a new identity. So actually, before we go, you guys, what would be a new identity you would want? Just say it. Don't be embarrassed. Type it in the chat. So another great, maybe I'll even do a book review. This guy talks about alter egos. The book has been out for maybe about 3 years, Alter Egos. But again, he works with these top athletes. And he gave an example. He literally had some like player, baseball, basketball, call him. He needed to change in like 1 week, right? The guy was just messing up. He wasn't scoring. He was just in a rut. And he's like, I was able to change him in 1 week. And his thing is, you make an alter ego. So really quick, just to give you a bonus, it's like, when Beyonce talks about Sasha Fierce, right? Comes to mind. I forgot Eminem had an alter. Oh God, with Black Mamba. What's the basketball player? I'm blocking his name. I can see him. He was going through the rape allegations and all of that. And, I think that who knows? Oh gosh, I just lost his name. The basketball player who was so amazing, inspired so many people. But the one who died in the helicopter crash, he literally was losing the game because he was so overwhelmed with all the legal stuff and all the bad press. And like in that moment, he came up with the idea of Black Mamba, which is like a snake. It's like a venomous snake. Like he took this persona, this alter ego, and that alter ego was able to go out and play. Right. And when I think of it, I have some people in my community. I have one, Kobe. Thank you, Kobe. His death still shocked me. And I literally didn't follow basketball, but his death really, really shook me back. I even had a video about it. Take an alter ego. So beautiful love. What would your alter ego be? What would their name be? You can just say their name. So you don't even have to say what they are, like, but if you want to, like, what would be your financially savvy, well-to-do, like if you're an artist, what would the successful artist version of you, what would be his or her name? If you wanted to run a organization, what would your alter ego, what would their name be? So share that. I'm going to wait. Share that in the chat here. To Kobe's example, it was an animal. Now that's straight up shamanic, which, as you know, my Divine Feminine, Awaken the Divine Feminine program, which I think would be great for many of you. It ran, and I'm waiting for the feedback, and then it's going to run again for sure. I think I had about somewhere between 14 and 15 people who enrolled. It's this idea of, we already know we need to kind of almost take a new persona. Okay. You see, I'm weaving everything in. Like, we know, like Kobe in that moment was like, okay, I need something strong, fierce, like just intense. And that's what came to him, with Beyonce coming out of sort of this church background, whatever. And she felt she needed a more confident version of herself, right? So she came up with Sasha Fierce. And then, she got so many people who thought that was so weird. Then she's like, oh, I don't even need her anymore. But what would your alter ego be? What would your alter ego be? Get typing. What would your alter ego be named? And if you want to say what their purpose is, and I'm staring at the comment section, what would their, why would you use them? Would it be, so you're a very successful businesswoman, you're affecting tens of thousands of people around the world. What would that alter ego, that new identity of you, be named? I am really curious. I want to see what names, if you're willing to share. Now, this may be too much of a stretch for some of you, that like it's just a new concept anyway of the alter ego. If I read the whole book, because of course I took the shortcut, I didn't read the whole book. Yeah, no, I know. You guys both told me it's Kobe Bryant. Yeah. The GOAT. Okay, the GOAT. Now, don't a lot of people use the GOAT though? Are you saying he was? Yeah, I'm not sure. Or is that would be your beautiful love? Would that be your like alter ego moniker or like nickname? And MZ, what would yours be for some area of your life? Just to get you kind of thinking. Like, it could be a name from mythology. I'm thinking for some of you, it could be just a name that maybe, it literally, in the book, he gives like, Wonder Woman. You could literally be like, you're a mix of Wonder Woman and Margaret Thatcher. I'm just pulling this out, please, people. I'm just saying, if you're trying to be like super strong and be like in politics or something. So you can like take various people who you like also, and kind of smush them together, and like their traits, like what would that be, and make that like your alter ego. Okay, the GOAT for a successful woman. Okay, awesome. And who else? Yeah, just make up a name. It doesn't have to be serious that you're taking it. I'm just going back looking through the comments. Yes, Kobe. So incredibly driven, right? You can, so even, and I guess the point with that is, even someone who's already very successful, interestingly, can, like already successful, has really good confidence, something can kind of start to shatter their confidence, right? So all of those, like all of the legal issues, all the allegations started to sort of undo his own sense of himself, right? Because it was so intense coming from the outside, that he, being someone who's worked with mindset a lot, right, and overcoming struggles, I'm sure, and though he had family, I think Kobe had good family support, he realized, I need an alter ego. So I'm just linking that with my saying to you guys, and that's why I hooked onto the identity. I really do believe it's about having a new identity, a whole identity, and even deeper than that, the idea of this identity that you think is new, that's not you, is really just a part of you, obviously, right? Because if you're going to personify this identity, the GOAT, right? Or you want a sexier, confident version of you, and her name is, you make up a name for her, that's still going to be you, exemplifying, like taking on, like an actor taking on these traits, but they're really coming from within you. So I just think that's super, super deep. So I hope this was helpful, just to think about those things. Again, start relaxed in a high vibration when you're going to work on something. Figure out what is the major thing that if you shifted it, it would change your life. I like going for the big thing first. I do. What is the thing that if you shifted it, it would shift your whole life? work on it from multiple angles that are appropriate to that thing. So again, if it were finances, maybe you do get a financial planner to talk with you. Maybe you take classes, right? You look at your habits, you research, you do your reading, and then just rinse and repeat. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Yes, keep going. So Esther didn't need an alter ego. She can come up with one, Elena. Alter ego. It's a good concept. The identity, shifting our identity. Angel, you could shift your identity. You were saying, Angel, let me just go back up. I'm in is what is right for me and not using past men. Right. Yeah. Angel, I just feel like a good therapist for something like that is so important because you can talk to them and they're non-judgmental and they know all the different types of like personalities and they can help you figure that out. So I always recommend therapy for everyone. I feel like everybody needs a good therapist because the idea is they're on your side. That really is the idea. Like, so literally even the serial killer, right? They go to the therapist. Of course, therapists would have to report them, but they're on their side, right? They're trying to help them, or somebody say who maybe was imprisoned, and then the therapist is trying to help them understand themselves and reach wholeness. And so that's, that's why I think everybody should have a good therapist. I do. I do. Oh, more names. Yeah. I mean, so again, it could be, and this fits in like it does with the Awaken the Divine Feminine. It could be that it's a particular animal. Like, I mean, I'll give some obvious examples, right? Why does everybody identify with lions? The courage, the boldness, right? Or it's an eagle or a hawk. So, this, in terms of this new identity or alter ego, you can kind of pull even from human. It can be archetypes like the Wonder Woman or Superman. He gave comic book manga people, like whatever you're into can form your archetype, can help you figure out. Yeah, so have fun with it. Exactly, have fun with it. All right, guys, I'm going to go and prep for my second class, as I mentioned, for the mindfulness meditation. And if you were in Awaken the Divine Feminine and you have not done a rating yet, beautiful love, you might have gotten an email from me. And if you were in Awaken the Divine Feminine and you're watching this and you did not do it was like 3 questions about the program, please fill that out today. I really would love to have those back because I'm going to, take all that feedback and make the program even better and open it up again. So if you were enrolled in Awaken the Divine Feminine and you're watching this, please do look at your email. There should be a link to a really quick like survey. Okay. Much love. Have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. And yeah, I like my hair like this. I was going to tie it up and I'm like, no, I'm liking the length that it's getting to, and we'll see what I do as it gets longer. Bye, guys. Much love. See you soon.